Hey everyone, once again, this is sort of our part two of the 110 crafting update. And of course, that means I'm talking specifically about the Masterwork Magic Robes. I'm just wrapping up now the last +5 Star Bloom piece that I need to make in order to unlock the achievement, which unlocks the ability to make the robes. And this time I'm doing things a little differently from some of my previous masterwork start to finish production videos. Namely, this time I'm going to do a little more groundwork sort of ahead of time and check what's needed just because it's much less esoteric than the masterwork weapons, in that you can see a lot of what's needed on the various interfaces. So first I'm going to make everything right in the world here and hop on that comp cape that I just earned back. And so let's first take a look at the loom, because this has a lot of what we need here. And I've already looked at it some. I've looked at sort of the, sorry, let's go here first. Let's go to the pattern table. If you go there first, you can get an idea of everything that's needed for the armor. The amount of threads. Each piece of armor seems to require a stone of binding. That is the resource you can purchase for tectonic. It's sort of that money sink item that they added. But it's kind of standard. Each one requires a different amount of white or blue cloth. Kind of depends on the piece of armor. It looks like there's one specific piece of green thread. It's the only one that I've seen. It's on the hat. I don't see green cloth anywhere else, but you can see a varying amount of masterwork thread per piece. It sort of follows that typical 500, 300, 200, and then 100 for the gloves and boots. So that's 1200 masterwork thread altogether. Lots of white cloth. I believe it is 20 white cloth, 20 blue cloth. I gotta check these ethereal pearlescent plates specifically, as well as the lined pearlescent plates. These are the plates that require platinum, as well as the sort of essence that you break down from previous weapons, similar to how Masterwork has the Masterwork trim that requires a gold leaf, as well as Elder Rune bars and the, the Torva and Malevolent essences from those armors. I believe these are those, and that they require the Virtus essence as well as tectonic. So I've got a good idea already of what's needed. We can also go to the loom after that and just sort of, again, get an overview of kind of everything we needed. So I'm going to need a lot more Star Bloom cloth. All I have left is 383 after making the +5 set. I'm going to need, I think, if it's per thread, I think I'm going to need about 1,000 more, a little less than that. White cloth is pretty easy to make. Crocious flakes, I think it was, maybe it was just 12 of these. I'm gonna add it all up after. Crocious flakes, which I think I still have from doing crocious. I hope I do. Again, I'm gonna need a lot of Star Bloom cloth. Blue cloth, pretty easy. This is kind of similar to the tiers of logs or the tiers of bars that you need for other equipment and other skills. You know, Impied Spider Silk Batwing. All pretty straightforward to gather. Bark, a little annoying, but kind of easy to get. And then fine cloth is kind of a pain in the neck, where you gotta play Shades of Morton to get fine cloth if you're gonna get it on your own. I actually have a bunch of pyre logs and tortured souls that I never burned, so I'm actually kind of excited about that. I've had those sitting in my bank for a long time now. And then last is Mystic Cloth, which again can be kind of a pain in the neck. Anku are a good source, as well as Corp Beast. Again, I've got a decent amount in my bank already just from doing Corp, so I'm pretty excited about that. Let's look real quick and see what I got in here. So, what do I have for fine cloth? I can type. So I've got 17 already, so I'm actually pretty good on the fine cloth already. You see, I got Mystic in here somewhere. I might have pulled it over here already. No, where's my Mystic cloth? No, I got it somewhere. There we go. What do I have? Oh, I thought it was used for necromancy. So I got a lot of Mystic cloth already, which is good. I got a lot of fine cloth already, which is good. I'll pop that over there too, just so I have it. Anyway, let's pop over real quick and see what's needed for the for the pearlescent bars themselves. Just given the name, I'm gonna assume the pearls, the platinum bars, and those essences, those virtuous and tectonic essence. This place never does this. Load up, come on, buddy. All right. Yeah, so let's go. Yep. So pearlescent plates. Yeah, that's the pearlescent substrate, which I'm pretty sure are those other items. So the last thing I'll do is just to sort of verify that that's what's needed, is go to the Dragonkin Forge real quick and just sort of finalize what I need and be correct on that. One of the big requirements too are the player-owned farmed wools. You need those for the Masterwork threads. I'm not gonna. It should be under miscellaneous. There we go. Yeah. So, tonic essence, Rhysolic, magic, virtuous essence. Yeah. So, you need those player-owned farmed wools, which will take a while to gather on your own if you're an iron. I had a lot of the summer and winter ones left from necromancy, but you'll need all 4. You can buy those. They're probably spiked at the moment, but you know, if you're gonna farm your sheep, it's probably gonna take a while. I'm actually gonna go check mine real quick, see if I've got any baby sheep, and then we're just gonna start gathering. I think I will start with the. Actually, I'm gonna start with the green cloth first. That required 1,000 of each of the flakes from the Polypore dungeon. Let's see what this baby is real quick. Wait around, I'm just gonna get rid of it, I don't care. So let's gear up with magic gear. If I'm heading to Polypore, you need magic, and get ourselves 1,000 of each flake. So for green cloth, you're going to need 1,000 of each flake from the Polypore dungeon. Those are fungal, grapholic, and ganodermic flakes. This is a Slayer dungeon and does have a Slayer requirement, so keep that in mind if you are unable to simply purchase the flakes yourself. I do also recommend, if you've been here before and maybe you haven't slain these monsters in a while, is checking with the merchant here by the entrance. Because he can hold any leftover flakes if you've given them to him. So I already have 434 of the basic flake, and then I have 1,000 grapholic flakes, so that's going to save me a good amount of time already. If you want to get here, the best way to do so is either through the Fairy Ring BIP, which is right outside, or teleporting via the, what do you call it, the Dungeoneering teleport to the Resource Dungeon, which is right over there. I'm not bringing high-level gear. This is going to be a pretty easy, albeit slow, process for me to do, but it is what it is. You know, I want to do this myself, not trade for it. Plus, these are probably overpriced at the moment, given the demand. It might be a decent money maker. Besides that, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to grind this out, and we'll check in when I'm done. Eventually, you've got 1,000 of each flake, maybe a little lucky, and some Starbloom seeds or a Polypore stick. But you've got what you need, and you can get out of here and go make yourself the fabric. Once you've got the 1,000 flakes and 10 Starbloom cloth, you can go back to a loom and make yourself the Masterwork green cloth. As you can see, this is one of those things that's going to take us about 10 minutes to complete. Next, we need to go get some wool, because we need that to make the blue Masterwork cloth. We need 9 of these cloths, which means that we'll need 72 wool, if my math is right. There's some sheep near the crafting guild, so you can just get your wool from them, head over to the spinning wheel to make balls of wool, and then finally convert those balls of wool to strips of wool. This needs to be done in the crafting guild or at any sort of crafting location, because you require strips of cloth, not bolts of cloth, which you can buy from construction. After you've gotten your cloth, you also need to get some legacy hides from existing NPCs, so you can go kill some imps, as well as some spiders and some bats to get the imp hide, bat hide, and spider silk that you need. Following that, you need bark, which can only be gotten from the hollow trees in the Mortmire Swamp. Basic woodcutting is all you need to do for that. Finally, you need to get fine cloth, and the only way to get fine cloth without trading for it is the Shades of Martin minigame. This game is old. It can be kind of tough to play it solo, although there are ways to do so. The official world might be dead, so it can be pretty tough, especially if you're an Iron Man. A decent way to sort of bypass it, because there's sort of this idea that you need to build up to the higher tier shades, is to get some tortured souls from Edemu. You can cremate them here just like you do the shades, and you get the same sort of rewards and keys. So you're gonna need to come here and bring some fire logs. You'll need whatever soul you're burning. Again, I really do recommend the tortured souls. You usually get good keys. They're easy to get in bulk. They do require elder logs, which takes a full 4-dose vial of oil in order to prepare. So consider that as well. You'll just want to weigh your options, but this is one of the higher sort of RNG aspects of making this Masterwork Robes. I really fortunate that I just happened to have a bunch of random keys and logs, not keys, sorry, stuff for this laying around. I was trying to get the necromancer gear at one point, the mage gear, thinking that it might have a use in necromancy, but then the necromancy dropped. It wasn't required, so I didn't bother with that. But you know, I lucked out. But either way, you're gonna have to do this, especially if you're an iron or if you can't trade for the fabric. It's probably selling a little high on the GE. So I'm gonna hope I get lucky with this set. I actually have 17 fabric already, and I'm sort of hoping that some of these higher tier keys can get me fabric from the chest. So we're just gonna sit real quick and finish banging through these, and I'll run over to the crypts. So the catacombs are located just north of Morton. There's the wooden doors. There's a little rock built into the ground there, sort of across from where the temple is located. Takes you to a little maze, and then you just need to use your keys and open the door. It really doesn't matter particularly what chest you decide to open, just that you correspond with the color of the key that you have, obviously. I am just realizing I do not know my way around here. This is something I do so infrequently. I think the good keys are up over here. Yeah, silver. And then you just find a chest that corresponds with your keys and start opening them. I've got some red keys. I've got some crimson keys. So these are red. I don't have a brown key. All right, there we go. I got some fabric, some fine cloth. That was quick. Let's just open the rest of these for fun. Let's get a small sample size for how much cloth you might get. Crimson. There is also the gold chest. I can't remember what the gold chest guarantees you. I know it's something better. I'm trying to think if you can get the gold chest from the gold key from Tortured Souls or not, or if it has to be Shades. I don't know. So you can see I'm not getting a lot of cloth here. I do believe the crimson is the most common, so it might have the lowest drop rate. But, I mean, I'm very surprised that they added this requirement. There we go, that's another cloth. Black. And then we'll go check out a purple chest. I think there's one up here. There we go. Yeah, another cloth from the purple. Salvage. So that was three cloths and less than 20 keys. It gives you kind of an idea of what to expect. You're going to need 18, just like the bark. So don't forget your mystic cloth as well as the other cloths I showed you. Skipping this just because, again, you know where to get it. Corp, Ankus, same kind of grind. But yeah, so you come to the crafting guild or anywhere with a loom with your 4 sets of the existing hides, your cloth, and then your bark and your fine cloth, and you can make the blue Masterwork cloth. So obviously with the inventory space, you're limited to basically making one at a time, and this is Going to still take about 5 minutes per cloth. So shorter than the green one, but still very long. We're looking at 5 minutes, 5 cloths. That's 45 minutes of just doing this. So finally, for the white cloth, you're going to need a combination of Starbloom cloth and Crochus flakes. You only need 200 Crochus flakes. Hopefully, if you're an iron, you can get into a pub lobby. That's not a problem. And you're also going to need Starbloom. You need 2,000 Starbloom. It's one of the bigger bottlenecks. I highly recommend using a Dwarven Harvester if you have one. Once you've got all 2,000, you need to begin the long process of weaving the flowers into thread. And then once you have all your thread, you just take it over to the loom like I showed a second ago in order to turn it into the cloth. Once you've, of course, finally got the cloth, then you go to the loom again with your 1,000 cloth and your 200 Crochus flakes, and you're going to have to make 10 Masterwork white cloths. And this is going to be a process once again, a little over 2 minutes per cloth, 10 cloths. So you're looking at not as long, actually, sorry, not 2 minutes. You're looking at 5 minutes per cloth. I'm gonna have to edit that. 5 minutes per cloth, 10 cloths, about an hour of weaving. All right, so now I've got all my cloth. It's all done. You can see 9, 20, and 1 green. I've got 100 left over. That's just for myself. I have made some extra flowers. Now I need to make the platinum plate and the pearlescent plates. It's sort of the last big component. We need a lot, as you can see. I need 5, 6. There's also a little line, so this gets a little confusing. So you don't want to mess this up. So I need 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 ethereal plates. I believe it's the standard 5, 3, 2, 1, 1. But then you also need 2 extra lined plates. You don't want to screw that up because there's no way to revert that process. So you can really get yourself in trouble. So I'm gonna head over to the artisan's workshop because I want to at the very least begin the process of making these plates. I don't have the tectonic and Virtuous essence yet, but I don't think I need it. I do have 120 platinum already. That's what you're going to need. And if you're watching this as of, well, this video coming out, so I guess this is relevant, mining platinum is faster. But as we can see, I can't actually make these yet because I need the pearlescent substrate. And okay, I thought that came in later. So okay, wait a minute now. Okay, so I gotta get the pearlescent substrate first, then before I can make the bars, which means I'm gonna have to start the process of getting tectonic and Virtuous essence. Thankfully, as I've said before, I've got plenty of tectonic energy. So if it follows the same pattern as Malevolent did for the melee masterwork, you basically need 2 bodies, two tectonic bodies to get the 12 essence you're gonna need. So that's gonna be like, I don't know, close to 90 energy. I've got a next task, so I'm gonna get to work on this. You're gonna need binding stones to make the pearlescent plates, as well as the tectonic armor if you're making it yourself. There's a couple different ways to get it. A cheaper way, if you're willing to sort of go out of your way and take a few extra minutes, is to skull yourself, which you can do at the NPC over here in Edgeville, and then you can go over to the wilderness. Being skulled makes it so you can go to the wilderness bandit camp without getting piled by the NPCs. That is located, you can just use the 4 and 3 teleport if you've got the Edgeville sword. It's just north of the Dark Knight's fortress. Really easy to get to, pretty close to the lodestone too. You can see I can come in here, I'm skulled. I'm not worried about getting killed, but I also don't have anything with me except for my sword anyways. I threw protect item on because it does have a reclaim cost, but when you're skulled, you can come here to the duty-free shop, and he sells the binding stones at 50,000 less. It's not a huge saving, but it is nice if you are concerned about cost. You're limited at 5 per day. You only need 5 for the pearlescent substrate or whatever it's called to actually make the armor. But you do, if you're like me and you're making it from scratch, you do also need 6 more for tectonic. So I'm also going to go to Yano for the Mage Guild and just show you the regular shop, just in case you don't know. And you go upstairs. Don't have all the trouble I had finding the right shop. I'm a dumbass, and this took me a minute because I forgot that there were 2 separate stores. But yeah, so you can open up the robe shop and then you can buy some more essence. And that's if you need them. That's only if you're going to make the tectonic from scratch like I am, which again, I am only doing because I've learned how to kill Virago since making a short two-handed staff, and I know how to do it. And I have the energy laying around. This is probably spiked in price now, so if you have the energy yourself or you can kill Virago, I recommend it. I'm just going to bank the ones I don't need for now. I'm going to grab 6. And again, you can just make 2 robe tops. There's no need to mix them up. The robe tops, as long as you don't equip them, will dismantle for 6 tectonic essence each, which gives you 12, which is what you need. So now I've got my tectonic. I need Virtus. I'm going to go over to next and just start banging away at kills until I get what I need. All right, so I've done a few sessions of Nyx, and I've gotten what I've needed for Virtus. I actually got a full, nearly complete set. I had some leftover stuff from a while ago that I decided to use as well. I was able to sell a robe top for double the GE price, so that was pretty nice. But once you've got your Virtus, I've got my tectonic. Now we gotta, of course, go to our favorite place, and that's the Dragonkin Forge, which, if you haven't watched a video before, you don't know, whatever reason, accessing this does require while Guthix sleeps. See, I'm not the only cat working on some new armor here. It's always a pain in the neck. So you need to go to energies and essences, and then break these down. It only lets you do one at a time. A reminder, if you are using your own like I am, make sure they're fully charged, unused, otherwise you only get a portion of the essence that you require, and you sort of wind up wasting money. And nobody wants that. That's you're gonna have a bad time if you do that. So I'm gonna take my time, break all these down, and then I can finally start creating the bards. There we go. So it should be 12. Yeah, 12 and 12. I didn't get belted. Great. Okay. So we got all these. Now we can go over to, I don't know if it's a crafting guild or if it's the artisan's workshop. Why don't I go to the crafting guild? I think that's where you make the pearlescent thing. I can't think of the word for it. Let's get our Passage of the Abyss and head over to the crafting guild. I feel like you probably have to craft this. There's also a forge here, so if I need to smelt something, I can do it. I can't do anything involving an anvil, of course. So how about I go... Oh, here, this will tell me. I can just click that. Oh, I don't need to go anywhere. Great. Okay, so I'm where I need to be. This is the step that requires pearls. So that's sort of a hard gate, so to speak, if you haven't been saving pearls or you haven't been doing their own ports. Not really anything you can do about it. Use your rerolls, advance time. This is just one of those few things on making this armor set that is time gated, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. It looks like the game's only gonna let me make one of these at a time, but it seems quick. Oh no, you got to imbue them afterwards, and then thankfully it looks like you can stack them. So I'm gonna get all 10 of these, and then I am just gonna imbue them. Looks like this is a rune crafting step, which makes sense. This is magic armor after all. So I am just going to do this next step. I am going to imbue the substrate. It's 125 progress. I am thinking it's going to be 3 to 4 ticks per action. So this is going to be one of those things where each of these is going to probably take me about 5 minutes. So again, we're looking at close to an hour of just this next process. But let's finish and check it out. This is a good point to kind of remind you about these time-gated things. Even now, as I'm at the time of recording this, I still don't even have the wool that I need in order to get the Masterwork thread. So I mean, really, especially while you're doing these long time-gated um, steps, really work on those requirements. Pearls, wool, again, especially if you're in iron, just because it's something that you can't really speed up too much. So just do what you can to get those done. All right, let's get to work imbuing these, and we'll see where I'm at. Yep, after about an hour. All right, so now that I've got all 12 pearlescent substrates created, it's time to go and forge them. I do know that you need to go to an anvil for this, and this is going to be a lot like those other masterwork pieces from making the melee armor. Long, repetitive, etc. You can see all the requirements here, one before smithing, which is pretty funny that it's a higher requirement than the melee one. Again, make sure you've completed Spirit Bloom, all that, and then you can only work on one masterwork piece at a time, which is garbage. But so you'll do that. It'll pull the it will pull the bars out of your inventory like so. Again, you can't cheat and make more than one at a time. And what's the progress on this? I'm gonna put some Silverhawk boots on because why not? 2,000 progress. So not too bad. You can speed this up, you know, with Illuminate Injector, Power Burst, Master Stroke, lots of different tools to speed it up. You got perks. I think it's I don't think, is it Tinker that helps with smithing? I think so. Yeah, yep, Tinker, Perfect Juju, stuff like that. But again, let's just bang it out. It's gonna take a while. So with all 12 pearlescent plates made, that is, crafted and at an anvil and then imbued, it's time to line them. You're going to need 12 to line. You need dragon leather. Conveniently, I should say conveniently, I happen to have a lot of leather left over from Vorkath, so I already went ahead and I made 12 undead dragon leather. And of course, we've done this before with the sword, the bow, the staff. We need to go dye it brown in order to apply it to our plates. Again, one of the easiest ways to get brown dye is to just head to the elf shop in Letya. I don't know how to pronounce it. Letya, Yetya. I don't know. Weird Welsh words. You want to go to the right store, unlike me, going to the general store and not the crafting store, but you just go here. There's only 10 available in stock, and they do slowly replenish over time. I think probably by the time you've done 10 of the plates, they should have 2 more for you to buy of each. You might also want to buy some leather because you're going to need, not leather, some thread because you're going to need thread for the Masterwork thread, which I haven't done yet. But either way, just use your brown dye on the hides here like I am. And then what you're going to need to do once you get all those dot, I really wish you could do more than one of these at once, is go get your plates, and you're just going to want to line them. Yep, so they haven't restocked yet. I'm going to check back when I'm done. There should be 2 more by that point. But, anyways, it's going to be like when you're wrapping, the handle for the Masterwork sword or the bow limbs. It's going to be, why don't these stack? It's going to be a long process like it always is, probably like 5 minutes, but we're going to check now. We got to make 12 of these bad Larrys, and then we're going to have to make sure we save 2. But yep, like I said, it's going to be about 5 minutes, 12 plates. So we're looking at over an hour doing this. So I am up now to lining my last pearlescent plate. That is the 12th of the 12 that you need. I recommend at this point, when you're nearly done, is putting 2 off to the side, because once again, you're going to need 2 extra for the gloves, and then the remaining 10 are for the body, the legs, and then the gloves and the boots. Again, the hat doesn't require any plates because it's a hat. I guess that sort of makes sense, but you're going to want 2 that are still lined. So put those away so you don't accidentally imbue them. And then you just kind of finish up lining your plates. You know, if you're done already, that's great. You know, I've been doing this for a little while. I'm hanging out with Pop, so hopefully I can get some sheep, so I can get the last wools that I need without having to buy them. I'm probably gonna have to buy them though. And then the next step, once you've lined everything, is to imbue the plates. This is just, again, nothing special. You just need to click what you're doing. You'll see you got the crafting menu here to make the unimbued plate. That is a quick one-step process. And then, once again, you'll need to make the ethereal pearlescent plate, which is basically a repeat of what we've been doing with the imbuing and with the leather. So it's sort of a multi-step process, similar to, you know, tempered masterwork pieces, all that. So once you're done lining, you're gonna have to go ahead and do all that again as well for the 10 plates, which is, you know, again, about another hour or so of doing all this. We're in the home stretch at this point, which is the longest part. So just keep working through it, and I'm gonna, you know, kind of pop back in and check back in once I have my 10 ethereal pearlescent plates ready to go. All right, and now I'm finally in that home stretch. I went ahead and I bought some of the wool I was missing. It wasn't too bad. But again, you know, you need 120 of each of these, if I've done the math right. 1200 thread as well. You have to have the thread. The cape doesn't work because you're not actually doing like crafting, so it doesn't save the thread, like you're consuming the thread to make the masterwork thread. So you can do 6 at a time with the inventory space. So that'll take a few inventories to do, but just go find any spinning wheel really and spin yourself masterwork thread. You'll spin 10 at a time at the cost of 10 thread. Thankfully, this is a quicker process, which is awesome. Honestly, I was worried that it was going to be... Oh, I thought I did a preset. I thought that it was going to be one of those things that took a while to do. So let's just write that quick. All right. And so at this point, you know, again, it's the home stretch. 1200 masterwork thread. I've got 10 of the ethereal pearlescent plates. I kept 2 lined plates. I did not accidentally make 12 lined plates. I've got the 1 green cloth, I've got the white cloth that I need, I've got the blue cloth that I need. I'm pretty sure that I checked everything accurately from the interfaces. If not, that'll suck to suck, and I can fix it when I get there. But you know, we're through a lot of those long processes now. I got to make the actual armor, and I know that that's also going to take time. That's going to be you know, repetitive, but we're going to speed through this, and then I'm guessing I'm going to have to go to the drafting table in the Crafts Guild. I like to do this here just because, you know, you get the rested XP for skill in the fort. But let's zoom through the rest of these and then pop over to the Crafting Guild. I'm going to keep the, my Blessing of the Gods on, so I can hopefully get some rare components. I actually got some offcuts earlier, which those aren't rare, but, you know, still nice to get offcuts. Alright, let's do, I guess I'll just go in order. Let's do the hat first. I'm not sure what the hat requires. I know it's green. Let's see what else the hat needs. We'll just go in order. Alright, hat needs 3 white, 2 blue. So, and then this, again, this whole process is going to be 3 white, 2 blue. Is going to be, oh, those ones stack. Okay, I'm going to do that then. Oh, no, that's the Starbloom cloth. This whole process, it's going to be identical to making the Starbloom armor. You know, you're going to have to take it to the pattern table and then go through that process. The XP is not great. It's actually higher than I thought it would be. I think it's higher than making Masterwork, which gives you nothing. But we can see here, yeah, so 200, yeah, the typical, yeah, 5, 3, 2, 1, 1. So yeah, 1200 thread, I was right. Okay. I'm guessing you can only, let me see if I can make more than one at a time, so that'll actually be really helpful. Might not be able to do. Let's grab a bunch. All right. Ooh, you can make them. Make sure you click one. Yeah, so you can make them all at once. That's cool. All right, gloves. Hat. Boots. And then legs, and then rope top. Yeah, legs. And then we'll make one more trip. We'll get the top, and we're gonna start this long, tedious process. Make sure you click the top. Here we go. A lot of progress. 50, 30. Okay, so 25, 25, 30. I can't imagine there's anything to do after this, though. So let's just jump right into it. I'm definitely not going to record this whole process. We'll sort of check in as I make progress, and we'll take a look at the final product. Almost there. Home stretch. I am finally done now. This took me much longer than I thought it would, between just being busy and the actual crafting process taking a while. You know, a lot of miscuts. I would just kind of walk away for 10 minutes at a time, so I'd get stuck making slower progress with a miscut, but thankfully, you just go and you repair it at the repair table and you get back up to full crafting speed. It's definitely faster if you're going to be active and stare at the computer monitor the entire time, and you can tap all of those little craft opportunities or whatever cute name they've got for them. But anyway, let's check it out. So I already went ahead and I augmented these just to save myself some time. You know, I haven't worn anything else yet, so no perks. I just augmented them so they would be augmented when I put them in the bank. Looking at them side by side with Elite Tectonic, you can see that, I mean, you know, these are sort of the weird power tank niche that the Masterwork Melee fits. So it's got, you know, higher armor. It's got significantly a higher life point. Obviously, this has no life point. It's actually got a huge life point bonus. I kind of hope they pull that over to Masterwork Melee. It's got a prayer bonus, and of course, it's got the set effect. It being power armor means it works with temporal anomaly. So all around, even compared to the PBM drop armor, this is excellent gear. It's even stronger than Tectonic. You can see here magic damage 24 versus 28, 36 versus 42, and 31 versus 37. So marginally stronger, but stronger all the same. You'll definitely probably wear these main pieces at least, and you know, wear Cinderbanes or Blast Boots or whatever. But you know, all in all, it's better, and it definitely feels more worth the effort compared to like how the sword and the bow and the staff were. Let's take a look at it though. I'm gonna just go through the confirmation messages there, and there we go. We are looking like a magic man with a big old magic hat. Looks pretty cool. I think the girl one looks a little better, but you know, I like the gloves. The detail on the gloves is nice. I don't really know what's up with my stands. I don't know if that's just because I've got the. Actually, you know, hey, look at it. The hands are all fucked up, huh? Let's look at that. Let's put that back on, and then. Oh, it's just our fucky hands. I didn't realize how fucked up the hands look. But yeah, you know, so you gotta big health bonus. I think that's the same as the best Death Warden set. I might be a little wrong, but it's definitely comparable. You know, it competes with Crocious, but it's not tank armor, so you're not getting the effects of you can't use Animate Dead, so you're either using Darkness or you're using what was it again? Temporal Anomaly. Is it better outright than the Elite Tech? I'm not sure because the spec on Elite Tech is really good. You're getting, 6% more crit damage. So if you're maxing your crit, you're using Fastoa or something like that, it's probably going to outperform just in terms of like the damage it does. But if you're not going to use Fastoa, if you're going to camp either the Sanctum weapons or you don't have a Fastoa, you're not crit building, maybe even like you're going to camp Equilibrium, boost your overall damage at the cost of no crits. This might be better. I'm sure there's probably someone out there already who has done a video crunching the numbers. Maybe I'll set the PBM dummies to max hit and check it out and see how things look. But generally speaking, this is great. Looks nice. It's very wizardy. It follows basically the same process as Melee, just with magical equipment. Obviously, they really touched on everything, all the different hides. A fabric from Shades of Morton, so injected a little life into that mini game. All the Star Bloom, Platinum, incorporated the new metal very well. My one criticism I have to say, it's not even so much a criticism of the set itself, is that I guess there's two criticisms. The first one, which isn't really a criticism of the set itself, is that I wish and I hope that they bring Trim Masterwork up, because it's got so much more of a cost associated with it, and it's weird because the it has less damage. It costs much more to repair. This is repaired with coins. You may remember the Masterwork. You need Masterwork gear to repair it. You've got to do the extra steps to custom fit it. You've got to do, the steps to add the spikes. So I kind of hope they go back and revisit this. Maybe tweak it to require 100. Tweak it so that it is more in line with the new magic armor. I get that it's older and that it predates it and it doesn't need the level, 110 requirement like crafting does with the Star Bloom, but I'd like to see it brought up, even though, let's be real, people don't really use Masterwork that much anymore. I'd like the consistency. You have to imagine range is going to be tier 100 just like this. So I hope they do something. I hope they give the melee set a little love. And then my other criticism is that this is gonna this is coming out on just before a Masket drops. So that's going to be power armor too. That's going to be presumably stronger than Tectonic, unless they release another tier 92 set, which would be a strange choice. And they just try to differentiate it by spec. So I have to imagine that it's going to be a tier 95 power armor set. Probably, Tectonic and Fastoa are crit. I could see something synergizing with, I could see something that synergizes with Bleeds really well. Let's take a look at some of this real quick before we wrap it up. So, hitting 2s, 23s, 27. It's going to be a little inconsistent because I'm building up stacks, but let's see how much that does. 562. Pretty typical numbers, what we'd expect to see from tier 92, but let's see how this looks now. So it should theoretically be a bit weaker. This is kind of going to be a bad test until I build up 100 roar stacks, but it's definitely got its use, even if it's I don't want to. Again, I'm not crit maxing or like I'm just slaying, I can put maybe some perks that aren't as good. I'll probably stick my old Virtuous perks on this, stuff like scavenging, because I'm a dumbass and I put scavenging 4 on armor. That's it. That's been this whole process. A lot of time gates. So again, if you're watching this and you're getting ready to work on it and you haven't actually started yet, pop sheep, pearls, stuff like that, you can't really speed up. So definitely get a jump on those so that way this whole process goes a little bit faster for you. Let me know what you thought about this one. I tried to make it a little more direct, a little quicker, just because I knew the whole process would be longer. Less of me running around in circles, not knowing what I was doing or where I was going. But at any rate, thanks for watching and take it easy.